For the past few years, whatever meeting you go to, you hear about the technician shortage, you hear about staffing issues, and today we've got a really cool company, Workstream, that's here to talk about how to help that process become easier. This company is a fabulous company that they're broader than the automotive industry. And James is here to talk about all the things that we need to know to level up our hiring in 2023 and the top 8 ways to hire hourly workers. And I think this is going to be really valuable for anybody that is hiring not only technicians, but customer-facing employees and any other hourly employees within the automotive industry. So, James, I want to welcome you to the webinar. If there's nothing else, I'd like to turn it over to you because I know you've got a lot of really exciting things you want to share with our audience today. So James, it's all yours. Thanks for joining us and take it away.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate the intro. I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen with everybody. Hopefully this works the first time. Hopefully you can all see. We're going to talk today, like Jeff mentioned, we're going to talk the top 8 ways we can beat the hiring crisis. And so let me just get to there we go. So first things, we're just going to small introduction about myself, the company, and then we'll jump right into the state of hiring, and then what you guys really can do individually to help what we have seen be successful kind of across the board. Okay, so first and foremost, the introduction. My name is James Russon. I have been here with Workstream for almost 2.5 years. I started in February of 2021, where, right kind of the middle tail end of the pandemic. So I've seen how things were during the pandemic and then how things have kind of changed leading out of the pandemic, both for the good and sometimes for the bad. So that's a little bit about me. Workstream, we've been around for 5 or 6 years. We really focus on what we call the deskless worker, right? Automotive industry, shop managers, they're not behind a desk most of the time. They're up doing stuff, lube technicians. We work heavily in the restaurant industry, right? Subway is one of the brands that I work with heavily, right? Their managers, for example, they really don't have a desk. Anytime that they're doing anything, it's up and they're doing things. Hospitality, hotels, those sorts of industries are really where Workstream has been working for the last 5-6 years, and the automotive industry really fits that mold. Okay, so real quick, we want to take a quick look at hiring. Okay, these numbers are kind of industry wide. The automotive space is a little bit different. For example, the turnover has reached 150%. Automotively, depending, I work with some Jiffy Lubes across the country who it's more like 200% turnover, which is crazy. We're just in this constant cycle and this constant loop of hiring. I hire somebody, 2 people leave. I hire somebody, 2 people leave. And it's gotten to the point where we're spending hours and hours on hiring. Our wages have gone up. Everywhere you go, everyone is paying extreme amounts of money. Every restaurant that you see, every place you go by has now hiring. I ran a little bit of an experiment myself this morning as I was driving. So my commute to the office is 16.9 miles. 11 of those miles are freeway. Okay, so I got about 5-6 miles of kind of surface side streets, all that sort of stuff. Well, I saw 12 now hiring signs on that 5-mile stretch. Okay, everything from grocery stores, there's a Home Depot, gas stations, restaurants, everything has giant now hiring signs. And beyond just that, it's now hiring $15, $16, $17 an hour. Okay. The other big thing is this: typical applicants are applying for 8 to 11 jobs at any one time. Okay. That's a very important number. Very, very rarely are applicants just applying for your job. Typically, they're applying for multiple jobs in similar industries, right? So unless it's a specific referral, unless it's somebody that is coming to you specifically for career growth, or that's really where they want to work, they're kind of looking multiple places and applying for a number of jobs all at the same time. Okay. The second point is the number of online job postings has increased 70% since 2020. Okay, so you can see this graph, kind of where things were. Obviously, COVID hit, so things dropped and kind of bottomed out a little bit. But since then, we are at a 70% increase in job postings. So the number of job postings that are out on Indeed specifically are through the roof, really. I talk to a lot of people where Indeed is kind of the main source they go to, and that's just about it. Indeed is a necessary evil, in my opinion. It's where most jobs are going to come from when it comes from a job board. But what else can we do? And we're going to talk about other things that we can do to set yourself apart besides just posting on Indeed. Because if you're just posting on Indeed, even a couple other job boards, even if it's Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and LinkedIn or Glassdoor, unfortunately, you're just one of millions of job postings, really. So here's the number. And this actually is kind of a conservative number. Right? It's actually probably a little bit more than this, but there are 3.5 million open jobs in the US workforce for deskless workers specifically. Okay. Humongous number, right? And so, like I mentioned, if we're just posting on job boards, we're just doing those kind of minimal things, we're not going to get the applicant flow that we need. And the people that we are getting in, who knows the kind of quality of the caliber of those candidates that are actually coming through. Okay, so how are we going to drive to get top caliber candidates to come through and be a little bit more flashy and stand out? And again, we're going to talk about some of this stuff. So speed, okay? Speed is so important. A couple statistics that go with speed, okay? Like I mentioned earlier, they're applying for 8 to 11 jobs, all within a matter of minutes, okay? This number, 84%, I think it's actually a little bit higher than that. From most people I talk to, the ghosting rate is about 90%. So they apply for a job, you never hear from them again. They apply for a job, you actually hear from them, they schedule an interview, and they never show up, right? We're all very, very familiar with this. It really sucks, if we're being quite honest, because you're sitting there expecting somebody to show up at 9:30 for an interview, and they never did, right? Couple things that we can do. Again, we'll talk about that, but this is a very, very common occurrence right now in just about every industry. That no-show rate, the ghosting, the non-responsiveness. Heck, we've all probably hired people that have gone through the interview process. You have offered them, they have signed, and then they don't show up, right? They don't even show up for their first day, right? So what can we do? What competitive advantages can we have? And I'll explain some of the things that we've seen be pretty successful. Okay, hiring is very expensive, and it's an ongoing effort. Okay, employers in the deskless workforce, like I mentioned, turnover rate of 150 to 200% annually. So for every one employee that you're hiring, 1 to 2.5 employees are leaving. So you're constantly in the red. One of the examples, like I mentioned earlier, is I work very, very closely with Subway. One of the Subway groups that I work with has 60 employees between their 10 locations, right? So they run pretty lean, and they are hiring 90 employees every year. So 8 people a month between their 10 locations, they're hiring. So there's just this constant turnover, and the amount of money and time that goes into this costs roughly $4,600 per deskless employee. So when you kind of put that into, monetize that and how much time and how much money we are spending on applicants and new hires, it is pretty substantial. Okay. Kind of the last little slides are just kind of a couple of highlights. 80+%. Like I said earlier, I think it's more like 90% don't show up for interviews. That's 38 days to hire. That is going from the applicant hitting, I'm going to apply, to going through all of the stages, to actually having their first day of work averages out to about 38 days, which is very, very, very long. We want to shorten that up. We want to make that as tight and as short as we can. If we can get that into 7 days, it is much better for you, obviously, because then you're going to have the employees, but it's also going to be better for them because they're going through the process quicker. They're more likely to show up, and they're more likely to stay with you guys for a longer period of time because it's just not dragged out. And then that 10 hours spent is, again, another average, but we're spending roughly 10 hours per week, depending on your guys' group size, right? A single location is going to be less than that. But if you've got 50, 60 locations, you're spending hours and hours and hours posting on job boards, scheduling interviews, going through paperwork, all those different things. Okay. So hopefully that gives a little bit of light onto what is going on in the hiring world. You are not alone when you're feeling some of these pains. Everybody really is experiencing the same thing. But now what I really want to focus on are the ways that we can beat the hiring crisis. Okay. So doom and gloom out of the way. So I want to talk about how we can fix it. Right. So these are the 8 things that from my experience and from Workstream's experience have been very, very successful. Okay. So number 1 is diversify your sourcing strategy. Like I mentioned earlier, it's great to post on the job boards. You have to post on the job boards, but use multiple job boards. Okay. When we help a customer, we're posting to 13 job boards immediately. That's going to be tough for you if you're doing it individually, but I recommend posting to multiple different job boards. Indeed, Monster, Google, Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter, Facebook jobs. If there's local universities or local job boards, post on those. Get to as many job boards as possible. Okay. The other thing is referral programs. Referral programs are awesome. Not only for new hires, but it really helps for retention. Okay. You're way more likely to keep applicants, keep new hires, because if they're a referral, they're coming in because a friend works there, a family member works there, somebody they know and that they trust works there. And so they're going to like the people they're working with, and they're more likely to stay on for a longer period of time. Text to apply is way more effective than job boards. So having text to apply posters, QR codes, those sorts of things, social media posts. I know some companies don't allow individual franchisees to have their own social media pages, but if you're able to have your own Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn pages, do it. Do it. Post the job postings, post the QR codes, do it there. They're way more effective than just the job boards. Active sourcing versus passive sourcing. Passive is I'm just going to post this onto a job board. I'm just going to post this, QR code on my window, and I'm going to call that good. If we can be more active on the job boards, don't just sit back and wait. I have seen people get very creative, get out of their comfort zone, doing TikTok dances or, different things on social media to really kind of draw that and push it can be very, very effective. Speaking at your local college or high school, attending different activities, events, job fairs, if there's community events, go to those, make yourself known, and be very, very active versus just passive. Number 3 is optimizing the job postings. Okay, what sort of things are you doing on your job postings? Always put the rate of pay. I know in some states it's the law that you have to put a rate of pay, but always put a rate of pay, and then include things beyond just the rate of pay. Include things like perks, benefits, if you have PTO or flexible schedule or paid lunches, or we bring lunch in once a week, whatever it is, include those in your job posting. It makes a massive, massive difference. Like I mentioned earlier, everybody is paying a lot of money for top talent. So if we can go a little bit further and say, look, we're paying, just as much as, company X down the street, but we also offer you health insurance and PTO, right? Spice it up a little bit. I love this one. Try and include schedule flexibility. It's one of the things that the people that are applying for jobs, they look for. Unfortunately, flexible schedule is very, very important to them. And if you have that ability, include that. Okay. And then defining opportunities for growth. That is going to be huge for people that are looking for more of a career than a job. If you can have opportunities, look, if you're here for 6 months, and perform, you're going to have the opportunity to grow, increase your career, increase your rate of pay. All those different things can really go a long way. Okay, this is probably my number one tip is quick. Speed of engagement is the number one factor when it comes to applicants. Okay. The first person to engage with the new applicant is likely going to be the first person that's going to actually be able to interview this applicant. That is also going to be the first person that is likely going to be able to offer them a job. Okay. So if you don't want to be the picking the bottom of the barrel, or missing out on all these applicants, if you are getting applicants, speed of engagement. Okay. A couple of statistics. You are 2.4 times greater chance of successful hire when you proactively contact the applicant first. Okay. And 25% greater chance of hiring the employer's, 25% greater chance of hiring when employees contact an applicant within 1 hour of receiving the application. So when I talk to people, the industry standard is within 1 hour of getting that applicant, I'm going to contact them. That is across the board industry standard. I talked to a lady yesterday. She is a VP of operations for a coffee chain, and she was blown away by this. She's like, I check my email once a day. Once a day was the number that she gave me. And I told her she needs to drastically change that. The unfortunate side of things is managers don't always have the opportunity to be checking their email every 5 minutes, right? They don't have they're up doing stuff. They're on the floor. They're managing. They're doing payroll, maybe doing interviews. They don't have the availability. So automating a lot of this is really key. But the faster we can get back to an applicant, the greater chance you have of engaging with that applicant and hiring that applicant. Okay. Respond as quickly as humanly possible. It gets their attention. We live in a world where they move from thing to thing to thing very, very quickly. And if you can capture them while their mindset is still on hiring and jobs, you're a much greater opportunity to get them in. Okay. How we do that is use mobile and use texting. Be mobile friendly, be text friendly. Okay. That is 99% how they applied was on their phone. They do not answer when you call. They do not answer when you email. Phone calls get about a 10% answer rate. I know because I make phone calls for a living, and 9 out of 10 times it goes to someone's voicemail. Emails get a 30% open rate, but that's not a response rate. That is just, I opened it, I looked at it, great. Text messages get a 97% open rate and are way more likely to get a response back because it is so easy for them to get, oh, a text message, read it. Yep, I'll be there. Send. It is that quick. Okay. So mobile friendly is so important. Okay. A couple statistics on there you can read. I'm not going to read everything. Okay. Automate your process the best that you can. If you can create screening criteria, age, do they have valid driver's license? Can they work in the United States legally? Work history, qualifications. If you can automate those things and screen people in and out, so that you're not having to do it manually, extremely helpful. Set aside times that are constant for hiring interviews between 9 and 11, between 2 and 4. Those are the times that I am doing hiring. Set those aside, create those time frames, so that everything is constant and automated. You know that those are going to be the times. Okay. Tracking hiring metrics and what that looks like. Something that is really important these days is metrics. We want to know where people are being successful and where people are failing, right? If I have automotive, you guys are way more automotive savvy than I am. I know that if I'm having an issue with my vehicle, I don't know the first thing. I can change my oil kind of sorta, and that's about that's about it. Um, so if I'm having an issue, I'm going to go to the experts. I'm going to bring it to you guys and say, look, this is the challenge I'm having, and vice versa. If you guys are having issues and you can't figure it out, try and find those metrics of, okay, what is working and what is not working. What departments are having the most success? What strategy is working? Or where are candidates coming from? If I'm hiring 8 people this month, where do those people come from? Or 7 of the 8 from QR codes? Okay, awesome. Then I'm going to focus my energy there. If I had 4 people that lasted 3 weeks and left, okay, where'd they come from? Did they come from ZipRecruiter? Where know what is successful and what is not. Know how long it takes for you to make a hire. It's really important because if you think it's taking you, oh, it took me 2 hours to hire this person, and then in reality it took you 10 hours of work and paperwork and everything, that's a massive difference. So you should know these sorts of things. Okay. The other huge one on here is you need to know how fast your managers are responding to applicants. If that is the manager's responsibility, you need to know that. You need to set that standard that it is under an hour. In my opinion, that is something that I strongly hold, and hold them responsible for that. If a candidate comes through, you can see, hey, why didn't you respond to this candidate for 8 hours? That's not going to be uncommon, unfortunately. And we get it. People get busy. You have a line of cars out the door. I couldn't get to them. You need to know that. And if it's a constant, figure out ways that we can be better than that. And then my last tip is always, always, always be hiring, right? Um, I am a big sports guy. Okay. I love to use this analogy. Hockey's my game. I love it. Any of you that are familiar with hockey, go Devils. We're finally good again. What happens? You got 5 guys on the ice. You have a bench full of people, right? So when those people come off, the next ones go. You don't start a hockey game with 5 people. Your center gets tired, and then it's like, oh, he needs to come off. What do I do? Same exact thing when it comes to hiring. Have a bench. Have that backup strategy, right? You need to have, okay, I have 8 employees at my store, but I need to have a roster of people that I am ready to call when 2 people quit on a Saturday. Now, instead of saying, oh, I don't have anybody on my bench, I need to fill that bench before I can hire somebody. It's let me go to my roster, take a look, contact people for interviews. Great. And now that process is going to be sped up. So always, always be hiring, even if you have no need for it right now. Have your job postings live, have your QR codes live, all of that sort of stuff. Okay. All right. What I'm going to do is I want to kind of walk you through, and have a little bit of a competition. It's not really a competition because everybody wins, but what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through what an applicant experience can look like. Okay. This is a workstream typical applicant experience. Whether they find it on a QR code, on Indeed, the applicant's going to go through the exact same experience. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to apply for my Jiffy Lube tech position. Anybody who applies, you are going to get an email with a $20 Amazon gift card just for applying. But I just want to show you just how easy it is to go through the application process, be connected with, and schedule an interview. All right, so what we're going to do, get your phones out if you're not watching this on your phone, and I'm going to have you scan this QR code, and I'm actually going to go along with it. Okay. Don't worry, this is not an actual job. This is just my pretend demo account. But we are working with the likes of Jiffy Lube and Napa's, Mida Keys, multiple different, car dealerships and groups across the country. So scan that QR code. It's going to take you to a landing page. Scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to have everybody apply for my automotive lube technician. All right, so you go ahead and you hit that. And now it's going to show a couple things like we talked about earlier. Rate of pay, always. But qualifications, perks, benefits. If you scroll down a little bit, full-time perks, starting rate of pay, but we also have medical, dental, vision, PTO, all those different things that we talked about, right? But hit that blue apply and go ahead and fill that information out. One thing that I will say when it comes to hiring, keep it very simple. If you're hiring for maybe a district manager or even a manager position, okay, we can get a little bit more in depth. Maybe you want a resume, work history, that sort of stuff. But if I'm hiring for a loop technician, I'm going to make it really simple. Name, phone number, email, and a couple of smart screening questions, what we call them. Are you able to work in the United States legally? Yes or no? Are you over a certain age? Or do you have a valid driver's license? Simple yes, no. They say no, they're automatically rejected. They say yes, they move on. Okay. So you fill that information out, hit submit application. And now what's going to happen is you're going to get either a text message or probably not here. I think I set it up so you're not going to get text, but right immediately on your phone screen, it's going to push you to the next portion of the application, which is scheduling an interview. You're going to be able to schedule an interview on my made up make-believe calendar for whenever you're available. Typically, we're going to shorten that hiring cycle down from weeks to days. Most people are going to say, okay, screen the questions. I am going to be available for that interview within 24 hours of me applying. And then they're going to have that interview on the schedule. So by the time it comes across your desk, by the time it comes across your manager's desk, they have already found the job. They have screened and answered the questions that are important to you. And they now have an interview scheduled on my calendar, all without me having to do anything. I've just kind of been sitting here, hands up, right? So this is what it's going to kind of look like. On the left is a real quick version of the workstream dashboard. It's going to show the applicant's name, when they applied, what position they applied for, when their interview is. You can text, engage with applicants through workstream, so you're actually not giving out your personal information, which is humongous. You can text them, they can respond, and it's all a workstream generated number. We're even going to send out automated text messages 24 hours and then 1 hour before their interview to remind them. One of the biggest things with that ghosting number is we try and get that ghosting number down to about 50% rather than 90%. We try and get you the applicants that are applying immediately so that you're not having to wait that hour. Okay. That's kind of it. That's my information. James Russon at workstream.is. That is my cell phone number. Please call me, text me, email me. I am more than happy to help anybody that I can. I think this information will go out as well, so you'll have that. I think I'm going to turn the time over here back to Jeff, so that if there are any questions, we can go from there. So let me figure out how to turn this back over.
All right. Hey, thanks, James. That was, really, really interesting. And, one of the things that really resonated with me as you were talking was really taking a lot of practices and when you're managing anything and applying it to the hiring, right? Like setting metrics and doing it in a timely way. These are all things that we as managers are all used to doing with products and all the other things that we do throughout the day. And now we just need to apply a lot of that same logic to the hiring. And it's anecdotally, it's interesting. One of the things you said about, applicants typically 8 to 11 jobs at a time. I just recently, was told a story about somebody applied for a job, and he called him the next day to have them come in for an interview or something like that. And the person acted like they never even applied for the job. And I was like, why would somebody do that? And it makes sense to me after today that person probably, somebody else responded to them earlier. They already had that interview set up, and they're probably going down that route and just didn't really know how to tell that person that they were too slow. And so kind of ghosted them in the way of, I don't know, you must have the wrong number kind of thing. But so I found that kind of connected the dots for me in a bit. So I also really liked how at the end with the demo of how an applicant goes through the process. Because one of the things that I think as a manager, it's easy for us to say is we're so busy, we don't have time to set up appointments, and we don't have time to do all this stuff. And so I think automating those things makes it so much easier for both the applicant and the hiring manager to get that position filled. And so that really, I thought, resonated well with me as well. Hey, Timothy, before I have any questions, is there any questions from our audience members? Anybody write in?
Yes. One question asking if the attendees can get a copy of the presentation.
Yeah. So the question, if people didn't hear it, was can you get a copy of this presentation? The answer is yes. We post this on our website. You can get it through us. I think at the end here, James, I'd love for you to give your contact information as well, in case somebody wants more information. But yeah, we'll post this webinar, and it's free to share. So if you have people, other people that you think, oh wow, they would have really benefited from hearing what James and Workstream had to say today, you can forward this on to them as well. So yes, it will be posted. But James, if someone wanted to contact you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Probably the easiest way is just give me a call, or I mean, like I mentioned earlier, we live in a text world, right? Shoot me a text message, send me an email, give me a call, and I'll make sure that my contact info is I'll type it in the chat here as well, so that everybody has that. But that's just going to be the easiest way. If we wanted to know a little bit more or see a little bit more of kind of the back end, what that Workstream system actually looks like and how it functions, and how we can tweak it and manipulate it for your specific needs, because everybody's different, right? Your needs at your Napa might be different than the other guy down the street's needs at his Napa, and so we can tweak it, and I can really show you that kind of that back end and how that looks. But I will right now put my information just in the chat, so that you'll have that information. And again, call me, text me, email me. That's my cell phone number, so feel free.
And James, we'll share that. We'll add your contact information as well, and we'll share it as well. And then my last question is: so today you guys talked about the hiring process, but I know Workstream does more than that. And so for folks that want to talk to James, I'd also encourage you to ask them about some of their packages and things that they have that really help the onboarding process, and the things that all new employees need to know, and really how to get that new employee off on the right foot. There was a number that we always talked about from technicians, and we always talked about if you could keep a technician for 1 year, you could get them for life. And how important it is to onboard that technician the right way to get them to that 12-month marker. And if you could get them there, then again, you could have that technician be around for a long time. And so it doesn't stop when you give that offer letter and they accept it. There's work to be done after that, and there's lots of resources out there, and Workstream is definitely one of them that can help.
Yeah, I'll just kind of throw in there. You're exactly right. We talked very heavily today about hiring and just getting that candidate in, but it goes so much further than that, right? What the onboarding process looks like, how smooth it is. It would blow your mind how many people I talk to and I say, "What's your onboarding process like?" And it's paper. They still do everything by hand and by paper, and so making it easy on you as well as making it mobile friendly and easy for your new hire, it's all right there. So we can do that, customize that. We can even embed your own personal documents. If you have, specific documents that you need them to sign, we can build that process out. So again, reach out to me if you'd like to see that as well. And we can kind of, like you said, we've got packages, we can make it work for you.
Yeah, thanks, James. Well, all right. Well, we really appreciate you coming on, James, and hopefully this is the first of many, and maybe we can build off of this and talk about some of those post-hiring best practices and things like that, because the technician shortage for the automotive industry, it's not going to go away anytime soon. And there's great organizations out there like Tech Force Foundation and others that are working really hard to get individuals into the automotive industry. There's other organizations like Wrenchway that are trying to do a really good job of placing technicians in the right place. But this is certainly a topic that we need to come together as an entire industry. And it is going to take all of us to really secure our future and bring a lot of this top talent into our locations. So hopefully you found this webinar insightful. Hopefully there's some things that you can take away to improve your hiring practices. And hopefully you tune in for more down the road. So thanks everybody for joining in. Again, thanks James for WorkStream. And we'll post this soon. And thanks a lot and have a nice day, everyone.